Welcome back to another episode of Keoni Chats. And today's guest is Sean Morgan. And Sean is the owner of CafeGo Delivery. And they operate, let's say, furthest south is Salem, furthest north is Seattle. So I met Sean on a Friday as my work does a catered Friday for the lunches. And as someone that gets to oversee that, it's a lot of fun for me. You know, there's one guy in particular where he would always ask me at the beginning of the week, "Hey, Keoni, what are you thinking of having for lunch this week?" I was like, "Well, man, way too soon," but it's great to see the enthusiasm, and I'm very happy to always provide that to the people that I see in the office, work as hard as they do, and be able to push always forward and not think about the here and now or think about what happened previously. Just think about what's the next step to going forward. So Sean came in, and as I was trying to work and make sure people know that the lunch is here and make sure that everything looked good, I heard a little bit of a story. I heard a little bit about him and how he is working with, at the time, he was working with this, think of catering food delivery company. And he told me about how his company came about. And from that short snippet, my head was thinking, I was like, this would make a great episode because it's a story I want to try and tell. It's a small business owner that is trying to survive in the COVID era. And, I personally am one of those kinds of people that think that you got to work with what you have instead of fighting against it. Granted, I could always be like, oh, I wish, back when COVID, before it happened, or COVID's going to be over. It's just, I just work with what is given to me and try to find a way to keep pushing forward. So to hear about how he was able to take that same mindset and be able to continue to grow his company was very inspiring to me. So before we dive into that chat with Sean, I want to remind everyone that I do review DC animated movies, and 2019 is officially released. And if you want to check that out, you would go to keoniconlu.com, KEONICONLU. If you're on your phone, click the menu button. If you're on your laptop, go ahead and click on the blogs tab, click on the DC image, and then click on 2019. So let me know what you think, even if you agree with me, even if you don't. I still love to hear it. Maybe, hey, we can make a podcast episode out of that. That would be a lot of fun, actually. Because I'm a big fan of the comic books. Granted, Marvel's right there to my right, but DC's right up there, right above my head. So check it out. Let me know what you think, and even if I'm wrong, even if I'm right, I still want to know what your thoughts are. So follow the show if you want to keep up with KC Media and all the content that I produce. Whether it's the podcast or whether it is this DC animated movie review series, or if it's just some photos that I want to take, and some maybe it's a nature hike and bring my camera and show it off to everyone. So it's all stuff that belongs to me, but it's still stuff I want to share out to people. And if that's something that's interesting to you, follow me, I guess. I always want to say follow us, which is kind of weird, but follow me on social media. That would be KC Media 13 on Instagram and Twitter, and then on Facebook it will be Conlu K Media. When I signed up, Facebook was the first one I went to, and I believe KC Media was taken at the time. So, Conlu K Media, it works too. So, however you listen to your podcast on audio version, or if you want to watch a video version of this interview, go ahead, go to YouTube, go to Keoni Chats, and then you'll find Sean Morgan's episode there. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Sean Morgan. Sean Morgan, owner of CafeGo Delivery, virtually stopping by. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing wonderful, man. How are you doing?
Oh, just got done with a day of work, and we were talking before we started rolling that your Mondays are pretty chillax. That's what the cool kids say, chill and relax.
Chillax, yeah. Yeah, because there's a lot of chaos that comes on the other days, so you got to just have one of those days to just kind of roll into it, not overdo it,
Yeah.
You need to rush into your Monday frantically, and it messes up the momentum for the rest of the week, I found.
Yeah, and so with the mindset of like, oh, I guess when people say to me at work, they're like, "Oh, happy Monday, happy Tuesday, happy Wednesday." I'm like, "What is it a holiday? Are weekdays holidays now? What's going on here?"
Yeah. When I've always found that like Monday for a lot of people is like they say mundane Monday, right?
Mm,
And I never look at it like that. I try to look at every day like it's a new day. It's the same day to me. But unfortunately, I can't convince the masses to feel how I feel. So I'm just kind of like going with the flow. I'm just kind of adapting to what other people want. So
oh, so when people say they have the case of the Mondays, then you're
mhm,
just like,
it's a real thing.
"The real thing."
Well, I mean, it's perspective, right? It's
Yeah.
it's it's a real thing if you make it a real thing. And I think that a lot of people just kind of go with the easiest thing. It's kind of like they expect that everybody at work is going to be like that, so then they become like that, or it's just in their mind. But I'm trying to like retrain. Well, I've been for the last 4 or 5 years retraining my brain to not think basic, not think typical like everybody else, and just try to be like, every day is a new day, every day is a great day, lucky to be alive, just like full of gratitude.
Mm.
And not every day is jump out of bed excited to go to work day, um, but at least you have that mindset. Like you trick yourself into being in a good mood.
Yeah. So, have you always been this way, like even before you started Cafe Go, or is this something that as soon as Cafe Go got up and going, you're like, I got to change my mindset about Mondays, or just change my mindset about the week?
Um, I think it started when I became an entrepreneur. Not when I became an entrepreneur. That's kind of like a bad. That doesn't make any sense because I've been like that since I was a kid. But since I own my own company, so when I started Black Key Marketing in '09, then I would say after a few years, I realized that like I'm living my own schedule. I'm very unorthodox in the way I go about my day. I was the only one downtown Portland with a briefcase at like 8:39 a.m. Like downtown Portland, you would think would have a ton of business people out there. We're,
Mm.
we're talking back in like 2010, 11, 12,
Yeah.
and 14, and then I stopped doing that in 15. But point is that I was dressed sharp, ready to go, ready for war, and I look around and it was just quiet. So then I'm like, okay, Portland doesn't really start until about 10, 11 a.m. I felt like it was like 10 a.m. even to this day, and out in the suburb areas and out in McMinnville and Salem and everywhere I go, I feel like 10 o'clock is the time. Not for you and your business and the things that corporate parks do, but like really people as a majority where we live, it's like 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. I feel like. So I just
Yeah.
kind of go with that schedule.
Yeah. And I worked at Nike Portland in downtown Portland, so
Mm-hmm.
for about a couple of years. So yeah, their
So you're
schedule
familiar.
was about that 10 o'clock. Come in at 9, get everything prepped up. But
Yeah.
I was so like thrown off because I would work at other customer service jobs, like a movie theater, where the
Mm-hmm.
earliest showing would be like 7 or 8. So I'm like, this feels weird. I'm starting my day so late. I like to feel like I got the full grunt of the day.
Uh-huh.
I felt off.
Yeah. Yeah. I struggle with that. I'm not going to lie. I wish I was getting up like today I did. I woke up at the crack of dawn and it was beautiful. It was like pink and orange and all these colors. And I'm like, man, I wish I had the energy to get up right now. But I just knew I didn't have, my day wasn't planned out. Like I didn't have a full planned out day today. So all I knew was I'm going to follow up with broths. I had a few things on the agenda, right? But
Yeah.
it wasn't like a planned out day. So I was like, I could get a little bit more sleep. I wanted to be rested for your interview.
Oh,
And
thank you, man.
unfortunately, a potential strategic partner right now, um, I won't say the name of it, but they are a software program that helps restaurants to get more organized and put their team to work and helps them to cross over into other restaurants and keeping them busy. Pretty cool program I'm looking into. But he called me 30 minutes before I was supposed to wake up because he assumed that I saw a Zoom invite that I didn't see.
Hmm.
And you know how frustrated I was because it ruined my like last half an hour. I was like, damn it. I was so pissed. Because then I woke up with that groggy head thing and I'm like trying to fight it off all day.
Yeah. Yeah. When it comes to kind of adapting to things that get thrown at you as a business owner, how do you, what's your first course action? So like, let's use this as an example. So someone's like, oh, I want something. I think you missed a Zoom invite. how did you kind of cater? How did you react to the change in direction?
I just literally messaged them. I said, "Hey, I didn't get the notification. I'm not ready right now to do that, but I can do it at 3." So I just kind of took control. I just said, "Hey, this isn't working right now." I'm very blunt, I'm very honest about it, and I just say I can do it at this time. If that time doesn't work, I give them 2 other options, but I always make time for it. But like, if you want to say, let's see here, in general, what I do, like the pandemic, for example, which I think is something you wanted to know about. I just kind of sit back and wait. Like when the pandemic hit, I waited for about a month and a half before reacting. I don't want to react, so I kind of just sat and I let things kind of process. And I realized that when I was out networking, after a few weeks, I went out to network with restaurant owners, food truck owners, and just people in the community. And I realized that people were way too tense. They were just very afraid. And about a month and a half later is kind of when I decided to take action. But I would just say always wait things out. It's always better to just kind of like let the energy of the community kind of do its thing instead of trying to beat a dead horse and like go after it when people aren't ready for you.
And let's say you do go after a partnership with a restaurant. Well, in the midst of the pandemic, they say no, but then I feel like there could be some kind of like hurt feelings.
Yeah, people don't want to hurt your feelings.
Yeah,
you make a good point. I was like treating it like I'm walking on eggshells. Like I'd go meet people, hey, just checking on you. How are you doing? I'm also getting intel for when I do come back out there. I'm like, okay, how many companies are shutting down permanently? How many are shutting their doors temporarily? How are they reacting to me when I go out there and I talk to them? And 50% of them were very, very, very kind and wanting to do business, even if they weren't ready yet. Like Oswego Grill, they were like, hey, we're not ready to do business right now, but we would love for you to call us in 2 weeks. Looking back, it was way premature. It was way early. 2 weeks out was like not even realistic at that time. But I would say 90% of the people that I talked to were open arms and wanted to talk, but about half of them, you could tell they were just completely freaked out and scared and weren't going to do anything, even if they wanted to,
Yeah. How has your approach to restaurants evolved since so I think I found out that CafeGo started in 2017, correct?
That's a complicated question. I would say I'd been thinking about it since 2014, the end of 14. I put it on paper in an email the 1st of 15 of January. And then that summer, it was kind of like building more upon the idea and then coming up with the name and then the logo by July or August. And then September was when I actually hit the ground running of 2015.
Okay.
Yeah. So Postmates by that time, they came out that summer and technically hit Portland, not the west side, not where I was at, but they technically hit the Portland area right before me, even though I had already kind of started the networking and like doing the deliveries for Urban Grind. I was kind of like testing it a little bit before them, but then they were actually doing free donut deliveries official on an app that summer. And I remember being like, are you kidding me? And then September of 15 to September, October. So that 30-day window, I remember getting 10 companies out in the west side. It was Sunrise Bagels, Emerald Smoothie, Bean Me Up, which was a little stand off the TV Highway by Big Lots. And it was just like a few little companies, but I had 10 of them within 30 days. And at that point, I thought, God, if I can get 10 companies in a month, I can grow. And that was before it was even a thing. People out here didn't even know about Postmates. It was just like a Portland thing. And so, I mean, when I was out here promoting, going to like Evergreen Parkway and Nimbus and all the little corporate parks, every time I bring up on-demand delivery, they're like, oh my God, genius. We need that. We've never heard of this. This is amazing. A couple people were like, oh, we were talking about needing to do something like this. And then, you show up and it's like, we'd love to order from you. Before DoorDash, before Grubhub, before all of this stuff, it was Postmates in Portland and CafeGo out here on the west side. I was shocked. I felt like I had the whole market in the palm of my hands, and just wish at that time that I had a team behind me and investors and that whole nine, the whole gamut. But then part of me also wishes, or I'm also glad that I didn't have that, because I wouldn't have had the experiences that led me to where I'm at now,
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the hardships, they do develop you into a stronger character, a little bit
Yeah.
down the line. So when you had those doubts, what did Postmates or any of them like notice you and like, oh, this guy's taking our business, he's doing pretty well, did they attempt to like buy you out at all? Was that something that ever came across your desk?
No, because I wasn't really off the ground like that yet.
Mm.
I only had maybe eight to 10 clients that were like a car dealership, a couple of banks, an ad agency. I wasn't really there yet. I'm one man, had an assistant, had a partner. That's it. We didn't have employees. We didn't have contractors. It was just small, right? But we hit the ground running first. It was, like I said, we got the 10 companies within Beaverton, from like the Pearl District to the West Side open market. We were doing it, but it takes a lot of money and power to condition the masses to making this a normal thing. And that was where Postmates, and then eventually a few years later, Grubhub, and then DoorDash in 2017 out here. That's when they came in. But when they all came in, then everybody's like, oh, this is a normal thing. But when I was going at it, it was so brand new, even though they're like, oh, this is a cool idea, I want to do it, but they didn't feel like they needed to do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it just takes big money and big, a lot of power and influence to be able to get the community to do that. It would have took me probably 5 or more years of owning the market without any competition to get people to like really catch on.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it was just us.
So when you did approach, let's say, let's say I own a restaurant, this is back in 2014, 2015, as you're getting rolled out.
Yeah.
What would your approach be to try to get me as a partnership with you? And then like with what kind of skepticism did you hear from,
We didn't hear much. I'm telling you, we were on fire, because you got to think it was a brand new thing at the time.
Yeah.
And it's a little different now. It's a lot different now. But back then it was easy, man. Everybody's like, oh my, on demand. Yeah, you could put a team together and deliver my stuff to offices and homes. People were like, where do I sign up at?
Yeah.
And at that time we were only working off of a delivery fee and 20%. It wasn't like 30% like you hear lately. It was just like $5.95 and, give us a little commission. We'll grow your business. I hit the market. I want to say first. It was like us, and then it was like around the same time Postmates did, but I just didn't have that tech background. I didn't have the capital, all that stuff that to on a grand scale compete, But we were doing our thing out here on a small level. Yeah. But I'm proud to say that I hit the ground running. I went B2B before any of them. Yeah. So I did the sales and marketing, like actually bootstrapping it, where they had the tech and advertising dollars and all that. I actually did the work. So it's a little different.
But your marketing has gone, with the uprise in social media, which kind of was starting to hit around, 2014, 2015. You guys have done some, it doesn't look like it looks more organic, more natural, your guys' social media versus, let's say, Postmates, where, you have models and whatnot. And it is you out there delivering.
Whereas like I want it to be real, relatable, and I'm playing the long game. I'm not looking to like fake it till I make it or act like I'm some big company that I'm not by buying fake followers. I mean, I got 1,500 followers, most of which are local. They're all people that I know or have met or know somebody that know, not all of them, but they're quality followers. You know what I mean? If I was really trying like that, it'd probably be at 15, 20,000 followers, but I see people do that where they buy and they pay companies to get them up. I don't care about that. I care about bottom line and just kind of building it naturally over time. And there's going to be that time where it does hit critical mass and it just explodes. And I'm being patient for that day.
Yeah. Yeah. In that meantime, just keep doing your thing. And it's really all you can do.
The reason that I do the videos is that I want to inspire people to not be afraid to just document and show the process of building a company and a personal brand. I don't want people to like get the notion that we just did this overnight. I want them to see that it is a process. It takes a lot of hard work and a lot of time, and this is what it looks like, you know.
Mhm.
And I could probably be better about that.
Is it just you running the social media, or is it you and your partner that kind of
Yeah,
tag team on it?
it's just me.
Just you?
Yeah.
Hey man, look at that. You're doing a great job for, having to organically grow it instead of, like what you said, instead of trying to,
It is not easy. I've been sitting at 1500 forever. I don't know. It'll go up to like 1520, 1514, 1525. It's like
yeah.
up and down. But I always end up at like 1500. I'm like, God, why can't I just break it?
So, in your bio, for your, I guess, CafeGo's bio, it
Mhm.
says that you're serving the community.
Means playing an active role in building people up. Selflessly giving them what they need without having any demand or expectation, but knowing that if I provide enough value to the community in what they need, and not what I want them to have, but what they need, where there's a void that needs to be filled, filling that void, filling that need, and just pushing forward until the payoff comes. And that's been my biggest driver, is just like giving people what they need, and creating a network, creating a community. I've always had a deep desire to have a sense of, I'm friends with, Ivan over at Conan. I'm friends with Brenda over at Edge. I know, all these people, Gloria's Secret Cafe. And I just can say that, Fawad over Every Day's a Donut Day. I know all these people in my area that make the community what it is, and that I actually help them to grow, even if it's just a little bit. Some companies I'm only doing a couple orders a month. Some of them are a couple of days, some of them are a couple in a quarter. It just totally depends. But I'm helping as many people as I can, as much as I can, and I'm always giving my best foot forward. And I think it's just part of our duty. It's like, I think what we're put on this earth to do is to just push humanity forward, and like make it easier for my daughter and her kids growing up, to where it be just a better place. Everybody's in a better place.
Yeah, man. So helping and trying to help this small businesses, small restaurants grow. Now, was that something you've always had an innate reaction to? Because I know for myself, for example, like let's say I'm in a relationship, I know I want to help
Yeah.
that person out however way I can. Like, oh, they're having a rough day. My natural instinct is like, oh, I want to go into their work and make it better by,
Yeah.
fixing the problem. Obviously, it's unrealistic because it's a different kind of jobs. Obviously, I can't do the
Yeah.
same work that person does. When would you say is, how do you kind of decide when it is good to step in and help, and when is it okay to just step aside and let it happen naturally?
I've always been a giver ever since I was a kid. But like when I worked at Black Key, when I worked for my company Black Key, I would go out, and I felt like at that time I had a cool product that would help people save money and become, you know, just have a fun time. It was like an entertainment VIP card, save people money everywhere they went. And I felt like I was leveraging my resources to share them with people. I was always a giver naturally. And I was like, man, if I'm getting, hit up every Friday for the limousine connections and the restaurant connections and the nightclub connections and all these things, I'm talking about my old company. I created a business out of that. And I realized that at that time, I loved showing people a good time. And I freed up my life to where I could do limousines and party buses and show people events and have a good time. I like to put a smile on people's face. And I think that
I do too.
transitioned into CafeGo. So when I was doing Black Key, I was promoting theaters and barbershops and restaurants and, car dealerships. I had Volvo, Diesel, all these companies that I wasn't really a niche thing. It was just promoting everything. And I wanted to find that niche. And then when I found that, that was the coffee and the healthy food and, snacks on the go. And essentially what I was doing is I was bringing coffee from Urban Grind and then Mediterranean organic food from Urban Green. And I would bring it to people, to like ad agencies and Wyden and Kennedy and all their little ad agencies, sub agencies and stuff in the Pearl. And when I would deliver the food, people are like cheek to cheek smiling, eyes are bright, they're all lit up, and they're like, oh my God, we love you. You know, they're like, there's no better feeling than bringing people the excitement of their day, you know, and just like getting them to cheer up and pep up just for a few minutes of the day, you know,
Mm.
because some people, they're doing redundant work. They're just sitting there at their corporate job all day, like, and they're kind of bored. But then you show up and it's like, hey, I got coffee samples, or hey, I got, you know, falafel and pickled veggies and hummus, you know, and they're like, oh my God, we love you, you know. So that was what sparked CafeGo, because I was going out there promoting Urban Grind and Urban Green at the time in the Pearl District. Owner named Sam and Nazanin, I want to say her name was. Little husband and wife operation, and I think they're still there. But yeah, it's funny actually. Sam called me like a few months ago, and he was talking about getting me to pick my coffee up from him now. He's like reaching out. He's like, hey, Sean, we should work together again. So anyway, just I think that to answer your question, is that building that type of relationship where, you know, he helped me, he inspired me to do coffee delivery, and then months, maybe years go by, and that person reaches out to you and is like, hey, I want to work with you again.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, man, you know what? I love my community. I want to help people, you know, and it's because you feel that sense of connection.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen overnight. I didn't feel it as much as I do now with CafeGo as I did in Black Key. I loved the personal interaction, and I made really good money doing it. So of course I'm going to love it, right? But then when I got into CafeGo, it wasn't as much about the money as it was the relationships and the good that I'm doing. And I know that in the long game that the money will follow. But at that time I was a young guy. I was in my like mid 20s to early 30s. And I was just kind of figuring it out.
Mm.
But I learned how the universe works, and the universe is just do good, you know, you pretty much what you give out, you get back. So you just can't have expectations. You just kind of help, you know.
And it's a
Does that
great
answer your question?
feeling. And that's a great feeling when, you know, someone that you've helped a long time ago reaches back out to you saying, hey, let's work back together. You're like, oh, you remember me? That was such a
I'm like,
short
man,
interaction.
well, I worked with him for, I want to say almost a year. And it started out in the first 6 months. I was doing B2B marketing for him, handing out little promo cards, and we had digital photo monitors about the size of my tablet. Put them all around town, you know, 7 to 12-inch monitors all around town, right before social media really blew up.
Mhm.
And before the iPad even became a thing. It was just digital photo frames. And at that time, he signed up on that program. So we did digital branding for him. We did word of mouth marketing for about 6 months. Then he's like, hey, Sean, you're really good at sales. He's like, why don't I hire you for business development, take my coffee beans and get me into donut shops and Whole Foods and all these different shops, right? And got him approved into a couple of donut shops, got a coffee shop really interested, and then Whole Foods was like, yes, but you need to show the organic label. So that was almost a whole year we worked together.
Mhm.
But then he was like, hey man, I'm getting ready to, I think I'm going to sell my shop. You know, he was also a bookie too. He makes his money as a bookie.
Yeah.
And just a purebred entrepreneur. He does a few things, but he was like, you know, I'm probably going to sell my restaurant. I want to break away for a little while. I tried calling him a couple times. I couldn't get a hold of him. And then out of the blue, he's like, hey, let's work together. It's like, get your coffee from me. Come down early in the morning. I'll show you how to, you know, do the coffee. And, you know, he really wanted me to help him with the operation to where I can be self-sufficient. I didn't have to rely on him as much. I can come in early morning, know what to do, and kind of just take it and go. But yeah, we still haven't done that yet. So I'm still waiting. Still waiting. He's a busy guy.
Yeah.
But my point is that, you know, relationships take time to develop. And when you've been helping, even if it's just a little bit, for 3, 4, 5 years in the community with a handful of restaurants, you're like, okay, wow, I know that they trust me. I know I can go to them for help if I need. I know that, you know, if I have a really great idea, they're probably going to consider it, you know, like it ultimately will help you in the long run. But, you know, the whole journey of helping people, it just feels good to do that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like Conan Authentic Mexican Cuisine. Ivan over there was like, hey, Sean, I'm thinking about doing home delivery. And during the pandemic, we actually tried it for a few weeks, and I got out there and I started delivering just to test the market and kind of see what felt good, how much money I would need to make as a driver, how many orders I could do per hour. And Oh, it's a tough game, man. These delivery fees are, $7 to $10. The big companies sometimes are charging 5. So you're competing with that. And anyway, I helped him out for a few weeks, helped a couple of companies doing that. But I realized that home delivery it's a beast. It's something that I thought I wanted to get into, but it's a lot. It's like 110% dedication. You have to really be like, that's an animal, you know?
Yeah, but I believe. Oh, I think I saw also again on your social media is that you guys you're expanding to Seattle, correct? Or you were in that process. You also told me about that when I met you.
We did that last year.
Okay, so you are
It
officially.
was about October of 2019. We had partnered with a strategic partner that was a marketplace. I'm not going to say who because we're not working together currently,
Sure.
but let's just say they're like, you know, the biggest, most dominating force in B2B. And if you were to think of like Facebook, Amazon, Nike, who else did NSNBC, Seattle Seahawks Stadium, all the biggest companies that you could think of, right? OHSU, Providence, all them ordered on that platform. Well, when they were in our territory, which I call my territory is like the west side of Portland, Beaverton, Tigard, Hillsboro, Aloha, this whole area out here, west side of Washington Square Mall or downtown, Easy Cater kept, I just said their name. I wasn't trying to. So we partnered with them, and they basically crossed over on a couple of companies. I remember BMW ordered from us. I actually went and met with the service manager at the time named Ryan. And within 1 hour, they placed a donut delivery and coffee for like 30 people. And I was like, wow, that was really quick. And then the next day, they ordered lunch, not on our platform, on Easy Cater's platform, but from us because Easy Cater had invited us to be like a virtual cafe. So we were appearing like we're a restaurant, even though we're a delivery company, because we were pulling from so many places that were really close by. So it's like we were a restaurant, but we were really picking and pulling from people, restaurants that are within 15, 20 minutes.
For the people that are wondering how Sean and I know each other, so with my work in Lake Oswego, we do like a Friday catered lunch. I went
that's
to
how we
Easy
met.
Catered. Yeah. And then Easy Cater sent you my direction. And then bada bing, bada boom, here we are. You're a guest on the podcast. So you're saying how.
So Easy Cater kept crossing over with us, and the same time, literally the very 11 o'clock, I want to say it was like a Thursday. I remember very clearly. BMW and then Paychecks, who I went to maybe 8-9 months prior, handed them a card. Never heard from them. Followed up with them 1 or 2 times. Never heard from them. And then they ordered from us. This is right when our company was starting to gain traction about 2 years ago. And they start to order, or they place their order, and it was at the same time at 11 o'clock. And keep in mind, I didn't have a team yet. It was just me doing the delivery. So I'm like, well, okay, how am I going to do this? So imagine getting 30 people at BMW and 30 people at Paychecks by yourself at the same time. How are you going to do that?
You gotta have really good friends with really big cars and recruit them.
I didn't have the time to figure it out because it was like the day before.
Yeah.
Easy Cater, sometimes you can order at like 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock even the night before. And I just made it happen. I called Paychecks and I said, hey, you guys, this is like really, really random. And I would really appreciate, if you could, try to understand. It's not going to be much of a difference. It's going to be a little after 11. Is it okay if I come and drop this food off at 11:15? And I just kind of explained the situation, and she was totally kind and was like, yeah, 11:15, 11:20, whenever you get here, just, before, they wanted it before 11:30. I got there like 11:15 or 16. It was like, I barely made it. And I did it, and it felt really good. I was like, wow, I just handled it. And but the reason why I partnered with Easy Cater is because at that moment, keep in mind, prior to that, for like 15, 16, 17, 18, it was like 3 years that I had the market to myself. And then all of a sudden, Easy Cater's popping up, and I'm like, okay, who are they? And are they a threat? Or should I should I see these people as like competition or what's going on here? Because even though we were invited to be a restaurant on their platform, I don't even know how that came about, but they called us one day. We must have been on their radar because they did reach out to us,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
they invited us to be on their platform. And so we were on their platform, but it still felt weird because we were a delivery company.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And people are supposed to be ordering from CafeGoDelivery.com, not EasyCater, you know?
Yeah.
And so I just felt really weird, but I was like, you know what? If you can't beat them, join them. You always hear that growing up. If you can't beat them, join them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had to think about that. And I took a few days, probably close to a week, to really kind of like get myself, let my ego go, swallow my pride, and say, okay, I had to evaluate because I had to decide, am I going to be the biggest, best thing to hit Beaverton, or am I going to be a great force to be reckoned with on a national level? Right. So it's one of those, like, I can be a big fish in a small pond, and I can go B2B, business to business, LinkedIn, email people every day, follow up, and just work diligently every day, get up, crack of dawn. Much different lifestyle than just partnering with a strategic major player who kind of runs the business to business world, who's already backed by millions of dollars, right? I was like, you know what? I had a talk with my wife and I told her how I felt. And she's like, I think you're making the right choice. I mean, if you don't like the partnership, you can always stop, right?
Yeah.
So I presented to them, this is like January, February of last year, 2019. And I said, hey, you guys, you know, I feel like you're in our area now. And I told them confidently, kind of probably sounded a little arrogant, but I was just more like, hey, look, nobody knows this area better than me. Like, I literally have been here since 1997. I've done, you know, I've built a marketing company on foot. I've done yellow cab and Lyft, and I've driven on foot, like everything. I just know the area very, very well. So I told them, I have a couple of people that can help me. We can be your team. You guys can outsource to us for all your deliveries, and nobody will do a better job. I've been in customer service and sales for 20 plus years. Trust us, we'll do a great job. They actually said no. They emailed us back, oh, no, thank you. We're not looking for partners right now. We're not in your area. But we'll let you know if that changes. And so I'm like, God, really? I'm like, now I got to go head to head with these guys. Okay. Well, I continue. I get a few more orders for that week. And then literally on a Friday, 1 week later, I get a different email from a different rep saying, hey, we're now in your area. We're looking for partners. We were wondering if you wanted to partner up with EasyCater. And I looked to my wife and said, you will never believe what I just read. And I couldn't believe it because I looked up this company, and at that time it was like 5-star reviews, multi-million-dollar backed company. It just seemed really, really, really good, you know? And they were the real deal. You know, I remember they told us that we're going to ease into it. We're going to give you just like a handful of orders, maybe like 1 or 2 on day 1, a few more on day 2, you know, 5 or 6 on, you know, it was just going to kind of be a build.
Like a test. Yeah, testing them out.
Test a little. Yeah. Like, we're going to just feed you a little bit. And then literally like 4 days later, it was a Thursday. I remember we got like 9 orders, and it was like me and 2 other people. So it's like, yeah, it might even, yeah, it was 2 other people. We had 9 orders, and it was like, I had 3, Mike had 3, and who's the other guy? Matt had 3. There was 3 of us. So I just remember thinking, God, I'm dispatching while I'm running these orders. It was like a 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock deal. We were booming like 10 to 2. And I'm on the phone managing their 2 orders while I'm on my orders, and I'm driving, you know? So I'm on Bluetooth, and I'm trying to like talk to EasyCater. Oh yeah, he's about 5 minutes away. And then they call me for the other guy. Oh yeah, he's just walking in right now. And they're like, what about your order? I'm like, oh yeah. Just like juggling 3 different things at once. It was crazy.
While driving too.
Yeah, while driving, and then looking at my notepad, because obviously I don't want to look at my phone while I'm driving.
Yeah.
So I have a notepad to my right that has everything handwritten in big writing. You know, it's that way I can just kind of glance at the address, and you know, just everything was there. The name, the contact information to just everything was there that I needed to know. And that was the best method I felt like to do. But it got crazy, man. It got to the point where it wasn't just 9 a day. It was like 10, 11, 12 orders a day. And then fast forward to September, let me think here. I want to say it was like October that we went up to Seattle. Easy Cater was like, hey, we're really impressed with you guys. You're doing a great job. You're handling the amount of orders that your major corporate competitors are handling. At that time, it was just us and DoorDash.
Mm.
It was only us and DoorDash. In Seattle and Denver, there are like 4 or 5 partners. I think they have like 50 partners or ish roughly throughout the US. But at that time, it was just us and DoorDash. So it was like, hey guys, we're going to give you as many orders as we can first because we like you. You hold yourselves accountable. You're communicative. You're great with communication. We try to give it to you first. At that time, they weren't that happy with DD because they don't get back to them as quick. And we were very careful on like who we hired and building a team rapport and stuff like that. So we would kind of get the first whatever they could give. They try to give them to us. And then they invited us to Seattle. We built a team of about 10, 12 people up there. So I started out with 2 people. The reason why I remember because I had 2 people that were just doing such a good job. They were running like, I got really lucky. I got 2 really good people that were very reliable. And then I hired a third. And then I realized, I'm like, okay, I told Easy Cater, I need 7 people. I think I was shooting for 7. I ended up finding 10. I think we had max 12, and then it would kind of teeter. So yeah, but we always needed minimum 2 to 3 people to start an area. 7 was kind of the good, decent amount. It's like a good amount, but really to be sustainable, you need 10 to 12. We eventually got up to 25, but we'll get there.
How do you find out about these competitors that are entering into your market?
So we hadn't really taken off yet. Early 19. You know, we were just getting. We had SSOE. We had an occasional Nike. We had like really far and few orders. They weren't really that. There was maybe like 2 a week at that in January of last year, of 2019. And so what did I do? I was doing everything that I could to get the company going. So I partnered with, have you heard of Casa Lola?
Yes. Yeah.
Casa Lola, Carlos over there. I was like, Carlos, hey, look, man, I've been working at my company for 5 years. And, you know, my wife and I went to that restaurant and took our daughter and got to know them and told him what we do. And he was like, hey, he's like, that's very interesting. I'm not sure if I want to do a delivery company yet. I don't know if I want to partner with a delivery company yet, but I'm getting catering orders that I need help with. And I started looking at the form and it was Easy Cater. And keep in mind at the time, so I'm now, while I'm building CafeGo, swallowing my pride, working for another man in his company running catering orders, which is what I was trying to do. So it was like, oh man, it messed with my ego because I thought I had the market sewed up. And then all of a sudden it was like, now I'm working for another man, which I have my own company, but I'm working for him, running orders for him. But I couldn't be mad because I have a daughter and it was all about supporting her and paying the bills. And ultimately what ended up happening was I started realizing I'm looking at the amount of money I'm making per order. And it wasn't, at the time I was charging $9.99 or like $10 per order. Now I've been around long enough. I'm doing good enough to where I can charge 10. I needed to make 10 at least. And so then Carlos is paying me 30, 50, 55. I mean, I had a couple of orders at like $60 and I'm just like, wow, how am I doing like a 20 minute drive or a 15-minute drive and I'm making an easy $30? Or driving from Murray Hill to Cornell and I'm making $50. Like it was way better money. And I thought, God, this is amazing. I looked at the company and I was like, I kept looking at it every day. Like, God, I wish I was partnered with them, you know? Okay. And then the moment that Carlos and I had decided to part ways, it was all free game. It was all free game at that point. It's like, okay, he doesn't want to work with me. I need to make a living. we're not off the ground yet. We're still hustling, grinding it out, try to get where we need to be. So I called him and I inquired and I found out about it, and it just felt like this company I need to team up with, because I'm looking at the delivery fees that they're getting, because they're such a big company, and it's like 30, 50, $100 delivery fees. I'm like, okay, that makes a whole lot more sense. And I want that kind of delivery fee, not $5, $10, you know?
Yeah.
So these were just more gregarious size. There were bigger orders. There were $150 ticket upwards of like $2,000, $3,000. And you're going into like places like where you work, where it's like a nice building. People are, you know, very friendly, but it's also very quick. It's not like, I don't know. I liked it better compared to residential, because residential, you're dealing with every type of neighborhood, all these different type of people. It wasn't as classy or distinguished, you know, and I kind of like working in an environment that's more professional and relaxed. And I just really liked it. I ended up really, really enjoying the whole ride of working with them.
Yeah. Now, when you started your partnership with Easy Catering, would you know, is that the moment where you thought, okay, I need to add more people because all these orders are coming in, or was that something you thought about way before then about expanding CafeGo delivery?
Oh, I could have never forecasted or imagined what was going to happen. It was one of those things where you kind of just take averages of what you do. What I felt like I was capable of was 5 orders a day. I was like, I could take minimum of 3, 4, 5 orders a day, between 8 and 12, 10 to 2, sometimes 10 to 3, was kind of the range, you know, and I judged it on that. So like I wanted everybody to get at least 2 orders a day, ideally 5, but anywhere in that range.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, like I said earlier, it's like, you know, 7 to 10 people per area.
Yeah.
And it eventually got to the point where Seattle was booming. We had, you know, October, November, December, we were making more and more money. It went from, God, I think it was month one with the Easy Cater must have been March. I think February, March of 2019. We only made maybe like, I don't know, a couple grand. And then all of a sudden it went up to like a couple grand every 2 weeks. And then it was like 4 grand every 2 weeks. And then it kept doubling and doubling every couple of weeks. So we were in a really, really flourishing economy. I mean, we're talking uh, every month would like, felt like it doubled. You know,
How'd you
it was,
celebrate that? Because that's exciting that, you know, you're
oh,
finally able to like grow your business
uh,
more, you get financially more
yeah.
comfortable.
That's a great question. I celebrated by expanding, and I looked at it like an adventure. And I had never been to Denver, Colorado since I was a little kid. I went to Colorado for my aunt's wedding when I was like 10 or 11, and she lived in Breckenridge. But I'd never been to Colorado other than that, you know. So I didn't really remember anything besides Breckenridge. So I go. I told my wife, I'm like, look, I know our daughter's young, and I know we're together every day, but I really feel like I want to go to Denver and build a team out there and just spend a week to myself, like 5 days to myself, and just go out there and just explore and
Mhm.
just, I'm really adventurous. So like to me, it was like, I have enough money now. I can go rent whatever car I want. I got a Subaru. I got a really cool Subaru,
There
and
you go.
it was awesome. I had fun. And I got a new, actually that jacket was paid for by my mom, but she for my birthday in November, she got me a North Face jacket, the North Face beanie, and I just felt like I had all these like nice clothes and warm clothes, and I had money finally, and I'm like, man, I want to take a trip. And I was excited, just not about material things, but just about feeling new, feeling like I finally had money, and I wanted to explore. I wanted to just go, you know, go to Denver, and then I wanted to go to Utah, and then I wanted to go to California and Arizona and go see the world. I never traveled much. When I did Black Key, I lived Black Key. I was like the only one running it. And so I never really got a chance to travel. And so to me, my celebration is just kind of like getting out there, hiring teams, the adventure of like entering a new area, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Denver was a blast, man. I had a ton of fun.
Yeah.
We hired 13 people in a 5-day period. I would go to the Denver diner, and most of my meetings were there, but I did go meet people in a few different places. And then I really just spent every day driving around Denver, just getting to know the area, so that when orders came in, I would kind of have an idea of like where they're at.
Mhm.
And I just really like wanted to live and breathe the area for a little while when they came in and I'm looking at the map, I'm like, oh yeah, I was there, or oh, that's north of where I was at. You know what I mean? So I just
Yeah.
have a better understanding of how to communicate with the people. Even though I had a dispatch manager named Pat at the time, but being able to work with him, and it just made things easier to communicate. But celebrating, yeah, I celebrate every now and then with a toast of champagne or like
Yeah.
a stogie, or like I really like to go out with my wife and daughter to like dinner or to a restaurant, just kind of celebrate with them.
Yeah. Seattle, Denver, both NFL cities. Did you
Uh-huh.
partake? Did you watch any games?
I don't watch.
You don't watch?
No, I
Oh,
don't. No,
dang,
I
man.
I played growing up, and I grew up in San Diego watching the Chargers, and
Hmm.
so I could tell you about like Natron Means and Stan Humphries and all those guys. But yeah, no, I don't have time. I mean, I don't
That's
know where
fair.
people find the time. I think, people like, Warren Buffett and Jay-Z and all these guys that you think of that are billionaires, probably Dr. Dre and all these people that we grew up on that became billionaires. They have time now. They have people that are running their operations.
Yeah.
Ask them if they had a lot of time to watch the games in the build. It's really hard to find the time and energy to make time for sports for me.
Yeah.
And
And I've
if I
talked
don't
to,
have a connection, I'm a little weird. I'm weird in the way that like if I don't know them or I don't have an emotional connection to the team,
hmm,
then I'm just kind of like I'd rather be in the game.
yeah.
That's just me. I'm
Yeah.
weird.
Because let's say San Diego still kept the Chargers. I'm sure, like, oh, okay, I would peer in
Oh,
once in a while and check them out,
oh,
but
for sure. Oh,
not
yeah.
follow them religiously.
If I lived in San Diego and they still had the team down there, or we were, let's say I was taking Candace and Belle, my daughter. If I took them to San Diego and they had the stadium there, of course it would be something that I would have to show them like, hey, this is how I grew up. I remember my uncle would take me to LA Raider Charger games, and
Oh,
it was brutal. It was such a
oh,
rival, and they were so serious that there would actually be fist fights during the game
yeah.
everywhere, near every bar. It was like constant. And it was just an experience. And then growing up on like Tony Gwynn and just the back-to-back home runs. I mean, I'm definitely a sport fanatic at heart, but it's just so much theatrics in the NBA nowadays. And I don't know, man, when you grow up on like Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan and Bird and Barkley and that whole dream team, it's like, it's hard to, I don't know. I have a hard time getting into it nowadays.
I think it's easier, like, back when you're a kid, because San Diego, California is such a sports city. Oregon,
Hmm.
it sort of is with the Blazers and the Timbers, sort
We
of,
don't have football here though,
but no
you know?
football. That's not
Yeah.
that's usually the big crowd pleaser.
And I've never been to U of O. So maybe I didn't grow up in Oregon. I've been here since 97. And
Mhm.
ever since like eighth grade, I've never been invited to a U of O game.
Really?
Or if I did the couple of times, maybe I didn't have money at the time to go.
Yeah.
Probably couldn't justify spending 100 and something on a ticket. I think is probably what happened. But which always frustrated me. I always wanted to have the option to do things like that, and I never did until I built my own business. And then a couple years later, by 2010 or 11, then I began to have money and
Yeah.
options started to open up. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And then COVID shut all those options down.
man. Yeah. Speaking of which, going back to Denver, flourishing area. Probably my favorite team next to Portland. Seattle, I didn't care for that much. I did have a couple of I had a few great people that I still talk to and that I communicate with through whether it be Snapchat or Instagram or. But Denver, I fell in love with because the team, the energy out there, everybody was just so communicative and just readily available and ready to work. And then we ended up getting an invitation to Utah, Salt Lake City, Utah, March 30th through April 3rd. We had, God, this time we're making big bucks. And I told my lady, I was like, if I really want to, if I want to turn it up, I could do this every 2 weeks. I could go nationwide to a different territory every 2 weeks if I really want to. And I was like, I might do that every other month, honey. And she was like, do what you got to do. So we had like bed and breakfast, hotels. We kind of switched it up a little bit. We kind of, had a little bit of money. So I was like, babe, I want you and Belle to come with us. I want to go out as a family, drive to Utah. I don't want to fly. I just want to drive, go sightseeing and go like really enjoy the area. I've never been there, and neither has she. And when COVID hit, it was like, even when COVID hit, it was like the third week of March. I was like, I'm still going. I was like, it's not going to affect us. We're going to be fine. This is going to pass, and
You're
I'm
in a
not going to
car.
stop.
You're driving. You're not
Yeah, I'm
around other
like, that's what I'm
people.
thinking. While everybody's here shut down, I'm not going to be out on the road, right? I'm all
Yep.
thinking optimistically. I'm going to be out in nature on the road, away from everybody. So,
Yeah.
but then the girl who I had helping me at the time, she was doing Calendly, like helping me get organized with like running things through Calendly from Indeed and Marketplace and all that, like just getting it to where it's on autopilot, where it's like I had quality leads, qualified candidates that were pre-screened and all that, where I didn't have to do all that work. So she was telling me, she's like, Sean, I would not she's like, I would not go if I were you. She's like, you have a daughter, and she's like, you don't want to get stranded out there. And then I'm like, damn, what if she's right?
Yeah.
What if I go and sure, I have money right now, but what happens if I'm stuck here for 3, 4, 5, 6 months?
Yeah.
Like I have no idea. I mean, it was just such a risk to take. And so I ended up pulling back, and God, it just like, I couldn't believe it. It felt like everything that I worked so hard for, the blood, sweat, and tears, and the momentum that we had, our income was doubling every 2 weeks, not every month. Like we got paid by EasyCater every couple of weeks, right? And then every Friday from our clients that we had, like Voodoo Donut, Pika Pika, Thai Peacock, they would pay us either daily, the night before, the day of, or by Friday. So we had different arrangements with everybody, but we got constant money coming in. It was really nice. And then, I don't know, I just couldn't believe it just got taken from us. I was like, okay, so I can't do anything. I couldn't deliver to anybody besides a hospital or like maybe a vet clinic. And imagine at the time we were doing about 40 orders a day, minimum 30, max maybe 45, 50, like in that range. Average was probably about 40 on a good day. So when it got real was probably like first to second week of April. I looked down at my phone. I want to say 2 weeks later. I'm used to getting about 30 let's just say it's a Friday, right? I would look at my phone. I'd have 30 orders that are ready, preset for the week. And then rolling into Monday, more would come in. Sunday night, they'd come in. Monday morning, they'd come in. And we would end up with like 50 by Tuesday, right? Or like early to midweek. And then I look down at my phone 2 weeks later, I have 10 for 40 drivers in 3 different states.
Oh.
Can you imagine?
Ooh.
Yeah, that hurt. That my gut. And I'm a dad.
Yeah.
I have a young daughter, stay-at-home mother, and I'm the sole provider. And I'm like, dude, I thought we were just about to make $250,000 this year and go nationwide, and our dreams came true. And then I got punched in the gut. I'm getting chills thinking about it right now because I remember the feeling. I was like, it just was like, yeah, it was like getting punched in the gut. It was, worse things have happened to people, but just imagine, grinding it out, barely being able to pay your rent for 3, 4, 5 years. Like since we were together, we've been together for a little over a few years, but for me, it had been a couple years prior to that I was struggling. I took the money from my last company and I paid off all my debt.
Yeah.
So I was broke all over again. So, yeah, even though I got out of debt at that time, I just, I didn't have much. So I had to build over again. And then, anyway, so then we kind of teetered. It was February. I want to say we probably hit about 30 grand in delivery fees. And then March, we probably went down to like 10, 15. something like that. It was really low compared to what we were doing. And then April was just like, just started to taper even lower. May, but we were still making money, but just like barely getting by. And then that kind of went lower, lower, lower through June. We're still making a little bit of money in June, and July was like, EasyCater didn't give us a single order. We weren't getting any orders. Pika Pika, Thai Peacock, Spitz, nobody had an order for 2 weeks.
Ooh.
Imagine going from 40 orders a day, Monday through Friday, maybe even on a Saturday, you get a few to a handful, to nothing. 2 weeks.
What was your plan to how would you talk to your employees, the people that work with you, work for you, when they find out their orders are depleting, they don't have as many orders to work with? What would you say to them?
What was that conversation like?
Yeah.
I remember a conversation I had with Pat, my dispatch manager, how it was more like, hey man, I got something to talk to you about. And I know it's not going to be good, you know. He's like, yeah, I know, I kind of figured. And I go, as much as I want you to work with me right now, I want you to know I had to cancel the Toucan program that we had. Toucan was the driver app that we used.
Okay.
It was a software that I was kind of leading him to know, like, it's not just you. Like, I'm setting him up to know, like, I'm making changes because if we're not getting the income, I'm like, you're not getting orders. It's been a couple weeks where things are kind of tapering down. And as much as I would love to keep you on board right now, and I would love to keep paying you, I paid him a guarantee. It was a salary, but it wasn't anything crazy. I'd give him a little bonus depending on how well he did. But I was also, at the time, I planned on every certain amount of money that we made, he would get $1,000. So I was going to build a salary and build a position for this guy that he could be almost like a partner in a way. Cause like it was going to be every 10 grand, every 10 grand, he would make 1,000, so like we make 100 grand, he's making 10.
Okay.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
To literally just dispatch orders. And because he helped me build it. And so the conversation went like, as much as I want to keep you right now, I cannot justify paying you what I'm paying you right now. I'm going to have to let you go for now.
Okay.
It's a pause. It's not you're not being fired. I'm not like, you've helped me build this company. I do not want to let you go, but I just can't justify paying you right now. And they had like a government thing that they gave away.
I remember hearing about that. Yep.
It was like $1,000 per employee that you have. And he ended up, it's funny. The guy ends up, the very week that I tell him that, starts his own delivery company.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that kind of hurt. And that really was a tough. But you know what though? I think I inspired him. I think I don't know. Maybe it's just what I tell myself, but I want to think that I encouraged, him to do that. And whatever, man. I played my part, I guess. Just, it sucks because I felt like the relationship that he and I had was going to be forever until we turned it into a multi-million-dollar beast, and I don't know. It was just good to have a right-hand man that I could rely on like that,
Yeah.
He started doing Instacart and Grubhub and other things because I couldn't keep him busy enough.
We talked about how you had an ego when it came to, having to work with someone else or checking your own ego when realizing you need to work with EasyCater. Now, how mentally taxing is this line of work, being an owner of a company, trying to get it from the ground up? And how do you just keep yourself like checked out after being so invested in, basically how?
You can't just check out once you're this invested in it. For me, I can't. I think to a degree, I think you have to be built for it. I don't think it's not for everybody. I'm not like I'm not the type of person to invest years of something into a company and then just quit because of troubles and then challenges. I actually kind of feel that part's hard, knowing that if I fail or if I don't provide in a timely manner, that I'm not just letting myself down. I'm letting my wife and my daughter down, and I have to keep the roof over their head, and I have to provide for them. And like, dude, this is like a crazy time to be a new dad. Crazy. Like, can you imagine having a new life and a girl for that matter? And it's like, I'm just like, man, I take so much on for like their happiness that it's a lot. I have nights that sometimes I just can't sleep. Like I have a couple nights out of the week that I just can't shut off till 3 a.m. It's very, very nerve wracking. It is definitely not for everybody, but I would not trade the freedom. Sometimes it can be like mentally, you could feel trapped if you let yourself, but you just have to know how to relax. You have to know what to do to free yourself. But at the same time, man, it's like as hard as you work is how much money you're going to make. So as long as you're out there being productive every single day, or at least 6 days a week, you're going to make money. And it doesn't need to be from the business. Why don't you have one or two other things that you do outside of that to help you, to help fuel it, to get it by in the meantime, every now and then, even to this day, even when I didn't have to, when we were making 30 grand a month in January, February, I was still looking at things that I could buy on Marketplace and garage sales. And, it was way less. It wasn't every weekend, but it was like, every now and then I'm looking at Marketplace and OfferUp, and I'm looking at like things that I can buy and flip. And like, I just love doing that kind of stuff. And it's really humbling, and it keeps you grounded, because if shit hits the fan, worst case scenario, you can always just sell stuff each day. I'm sure there's stuff in people's homes and apartments that they can figure out. Like I can sell 5 things for $10 and make $50, or I can sell, a bunch of things for $5 to $15 and make $50 to $150 a day. It really isn't that hard to make money. So you just have to do it. We have Let Go, Marketplace, OfferUp, all these different, eBay. I mean, you just got to put it to work, and like all that stuff that's on your wall right there, I'm sure you got hundreds of dollars probably just in that room right there, you know?
It's TV you can't see. That's probably where it gets boosted up. But no, I totally get it. It's like when the shit hits the fan, you have to find a way to survive, and you have to find a way to get to the next day by any means
Yeah.
necessary. Like I'm a lot happy where I have experience, not to your degree, but having to struggle with payments, and once the payments are at least satisfied for the month, how am I going to survive to the next paycheck? And that
Yeah.
it was literally fight or flight. And I
Yeah.
chose to fight and to always find ways. Yeah, I sold stuff. I sold clothes, I sold furniture,
Yeah.
maybe I sold some games. But
Yeah.
once I was
And
finally able to,
there's nothing wrong with that,
yeah,
like,
no, it's
who cares?
humbling, and it's also like builds
Let's go
character.
back to our roots, let's go back to our roots. Like before we had the internet, before we had sophistication in society, I mean, it was all about barter and buying and selling. That's like what makes the world go round, So I never get too comfortable. Well, I say that, but now I'm looking at my living room and I'm like, I could not give away that old fashioned radio that I got during helping my buddy's moving company doing a move. It was like, lady passed away, and it's just like 1940s old fashioned big radio. And I have a couple of chairs that I probably won't give away, but as far as stuff goes, like I'm not attached. I'm like,
Yeah.
I could sell stuff and get new stuff. It's just, you got to have that detachment
Yeah, because
with
sometimes
material.
those things that have sentimental value, you're like, how much do I care about this item that I share this experience with? How much can I also not leave this item that I have this experience, this shared connection with? Because of
Yeah.
the chairs and all that. Because I
Yeah.
know a lot of these things, it's like it's nice, it's fun to look at, but it's like if I had
Do you
to,
need it?
if I
Do you
need to
sell
get
it?
rid of it, I'll get rid of it.
Crazy to think that 2 years ago I was doing stuff like that and helping Carlos with construction for his cafe down there, or a restaurant
Mm.
now. turned from a cafe to a restaurant to a steakhouse. But I was like helping to dig into concrete, building open area for a pipeline. And then I'd help them bartend at night while running 1, 2, 3 catering orders a day or every couple days for Easy Cater while building CafeGo. So it takes that, I say, blood, sweat, and tears for a reason. Imagine being drenched, working for another man for 17 an hour. You know, your arms are about to fall off and he's telling you can't take a break. And you got to come back and bartend later.
Yeah.
You got to run a couple catering orders for him in the morning. And then also yourself, you got to still go out and promote your own business. And it was, yeah, man. And then selling stuff that you find, always being aware and like being like aware of your surroundings and like, how can I maximize this opportunity? Because you're in survival mode, you know. I wasn't so much like that by January of 2020. I was like, wow, we're coasting. I don't need to look around anymore. I still do, but I don't need to. I don't need to be as alert for things to survive. And like, that's what, you know, entrepreneurship's all about, is just doing what you have to do. God, it's just crazy.
So when you look back on your journey at all the things you had to do, the blood, sweat, and tears, helping out with Carlos, getting CafeGo up and going, expansion, what do you think about the life you've had so far?
It's been fulfilling. You know, I've been able to provide for 2 beautiful, healthy, happy girls, and I've been able to create joy for them and build I wouldn't call it an empire yet, but I'm on track to building an empire. And I feel proud that I'm doing it myself and I'm not relying on everybody else. You know, I don't know how much you know, but I turned it into a distribution company lately. We're doing a lot of local products. Did you notice? Did you see that?
Yes. Yep.
So we're not just doing the catering, food and beverage delivery, but we've also gone to like 10 tap houses from Tiger to Beaverton in this whole area. 9 out of 10 of them wanted to carry nuts on the run. And then I'm like, oh my God, if 90, what was it, like 85%, whatever, wanted to carry them, I thought, why don't I just keep going? You know, why am I waiting around for catering orders and the world to come back? Why don't I just keep going? I can keep going to tap houses. And then I opened it up. I realized I'm like, actually my buddy Michael with Sanativa, sanitizer brand that came out during COVID, he's an ex-Purple Heart military vet out of Southeast. He didn't build. He partnered with a guy with a warehouse. They built a facility to make sanitizer. He actually told me, he's like, Sean, you need to carry this. And I thought, I was kind of hesitant at first, and then I actually tried it, and it's really good. Smells good, absorbs good. It's 80% and FDA approved. So I'm like, all right. And ex-Purple Heart military vet, I'm like, he could push this, you know, and it ended up doing pretty good. But he convinced me, he's like, you need to go to gas stations. He's like, stay on the narrow. Don't think of like all these other places that you can push it. Just go to places that are high volume. And so I took him with me for about a week. We went out on the road and we ended up going down Highway 99 into McMinnville. And it was like every gas station, every mini mart we went to was like, yeah, we'll carry it. We'll carry the nuts. Sure, we'll carry the sanitizer. Sure. Yeah. I eventually heard, we're not carrying product, or we're not taking any new product, or we'll have to get back to you one time in that whole month. And now we've been at it for 2.5, maybe 3 months, and I've gotten told no, or we'll get back to you maybe a few times. Like, let me think here. No, I got told that 3 times on Friday. So maybe like a handful of times in the like few months we've been at it. And that's actually really good, because usually when people go out in the field, it's like 1 out of 3 will tell them yes, but we're like maybe 1 out of, I don't know how many, but it's people want to help. They want to help the little guy right now. I feel like it's a good time to be promoting quality local products that people really want or need. And so I think it was a good pivot. And we do get catering orders here and there. It's not completely dead, but it's definitely way down.
Yeah, it's quiet. Very quiet.
It's very, very quiet, yeah. And in the midst of all that, we opened up an app, and that app is going to take a lot of money to get off the ground and to compete with corporate apps like, all the major ones. So do I want to go there? I don't know. I don't know. I think I could compete somewhat, but it's going to be a lot of marketing dollars. And I don't know, man. I really like the distribution because it's creating a foundation to where once I get them in the shelves, once I get them, I'm getting into like Holiday Inn, Best Western. We got into Roth's Grocery today. Mm-hmm. Or it's actually called Roth's Fresh Market. I like it because they're promoting exotic beer and soda, and it's just like a unique thing. You walk in, it's like just a bunch of beer from all around the world. And then you look to the right and it's like Nuts on the Run. And it's like, I'm making money off of giving people a healthy, good tasting snack, Yeah. And so we're doing distribution and not relying on delivery because like people are just not working from work anymore. They're working at home, I mean, Providence, yeah. Like vet clinics, yeah, here and there. Amazon, I definitely deliver to them every week. Not working with EasyCater, we don't have that help anymore. So it's pretty much we're surviving off of what we built before that. And Pika Pika, we were working directly with them, and then Pika Pika ended up not having any catering orders for us either. Voodoo Donut, we were doing the Providence Park Timber and Thorn games. The 100 dozen donuts that we were doing to every game, well, they don't have games anymore. Or do they?
No.
Well, they don't have fans.
They do, but no fans. Yeah, no fans. No fans.
Okay, so that was a big account. That I mean, yeah, really good money. Very simple job. I mean, we just move donuts like 15 minutes, and then we'd make a good amount of money and we had every game. So stuff like that started to fall apart, and we're at a point now where it's like, it's far and few. It's very weird to go from, 40 orders a day to maybe a handful a week. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So it crippled us. But I'm not going to let it stop me, man. I'm going to push this distribution, and I'm going to turn CafeGo into something crazy that you've never heard of before, like local. For me, now I wake up every day like, okay, Nuts on the Run can't sample at the mall right now. The mall management told them, you can't sample. That's their marketing. That's actually how they get people engaged to try it. And then they're like, oh my gosh, I have to have it, right? So it motivates me that much more to wake up every day and be like, I'm going to help Maria. I'm going to help Harold and Adam, and then Michelle and her husband that own Coca-Cola out of Beaverton, neighbors of mine, they live about a mile away. I get to do business with my friends and people that I like now. EasyCater, I liked them, but they were from afar. They were from like Boston and Denver. I didn't really know them. I know Michelle and Jeff that own Coca-Cola. I know Ivan at Conan. I know Maria at Revolution Cafe. I'm very good friends with Harold and Adam over at Nuts on the Run. And therefore now I'm like, and Michael at Sanativa. So my products are my friends' products, so I'm doing business with people that are my friends, and that ain't going to stop me. Like, I mean, that's just going to motivate me and fuel me to do that much better. I feel like I can't let my friends down now, So I'm finding more of a purposeful thing, I think, through this whole journey. It's kind of putting me more on the path that I should be on, even though I'm not making nearly the amount of income that I had before, but sometimes it's not about that. And I think that ultimately I'm going to make more money because I'm doing the right thing and we're getting a lot more support. It's just going to take a lot longer, but I think 2021 it's going to be crazy. I think something really good's going to happen.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Next summer will probably be pretty good.
So Sean, I could talk to you forever and ever because your company is very interesting. It's unique. It's local. It's community-based. So I like to end my interviews by asking a couple hypothetical questions from this sheet of 170. Packet, I should say. It's a packet. It's a packet of 170. So I'm going to ask you two questions. Take as much time as you like to answer them. So the first one is, if humans lost the ability to see all color except one, which color would you want to survive?
I keep thinking blue and green. I think blue because I'm thinking blue skies, because I'm thinking optimistic and positively.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking green because green makes the world go around. It's money, the color of money. And also, forestry and trees and life. And, you know, it's like, I want people to have, I don't know, it just kind of makes me think life, you know, green is like life. And then blue is like clear blue skies. I want people to think clearly. I don't know. Does that make sense? It's
No,
kind of weird.
it totally does. It's because, you know, you feel happy when you see a clear blue sky. Your mind's thinking of all the possibilities of things you could do with the day.
Yeah, exactly. Hmm.
There you go, man.
And
See,
then,
that
and
makes
I
sense.
live in like forestry, and I just love green. I love being around green. It's one of the reasons why I came up here from San Diego was I just love being around the trees. I used to live in Big Bear back when I was like 5, and I remember just being around trees and boulders and stuff. I loved it.
Yeah.
Just oxygen, life, you know.
Yeah. I know. I would probably say green because everything you said when it came to the color green association with it. Plus, it's also my
Yeah,
favorite color, so I'm a little biased over there. So,
yeah. I love green, and I love like trims of gold. Like I love like. You ever been to Insomnia Coffee?
oh yeah, that's near Adidas, right? Is that no? Maybe something else.
The ones that I know of, there's one off of Cornell out here in
Okay.
Hillsboro, and then they have one in like Murray Hill, which is kind of new. But the
Yeah.
furniture that they have in there, it's like royal green with like rustic gold trim, and like the walls in there are that green color too. And I just, when I walk in there, I feel enriched just by the
Yeah.
tone,
Yeah.
just by the aesthetics of it. I'm like, this is what I'm talking about, you know? It's just like that. Yeah, I love that like deep green, you know? Not
Yeah.
like a forest green, but just that,
Yeah.
you know, there's a certain color green. It's like an enchanting to look at.
Yeah, I was thinking, yeah, there's a different coffee place near Adidas. I do remember seeing Insomnia because I used to live in the Hillsborough area. So it's right next to a giant park, right? 53rd, 54th.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah, they have
makes
really good
sense.
taste. Even though they never bit on the coffee on demand idea that I presented to them years ago and kept following up with them on like almost every year, they never bit. So I kind of didn't like them for a little while. But I got to give it to them. They have great coffee, and they have great freaking design. Like when you walk in there, you're like, man, I want to stay here. I want to hang
Yeah.
out. You know.
Yeah. If you could get a ticket to any concert, which concert would you go to? Originally, the question said like any show or event, but you know, concerts, I miss concerts like crazy. So
Yeah.
which one would you want to go to?
While I'm thinking, which one would you want to go to?
I've always wanted to see Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know, it's
yeah.
funny that you mentioned that. So I didn't grow up on that type of music, but in that genre, if you were to, you know, break it down into genres, I loved Foo Fighters. Even when I was like a huge hip hop R&B guy when I was like 10,
Hmm.
I loved Foo Fighters. So that was the one band that was the exception for me, was them, just cuz they just shred, and it's just, yeah, really
Oh,
good rhythm. Yeah. So check this out. So we were actually celebrating. You asked me how we would celebrate when we were doing well and stuff. We were at the 900 Club. They have a cigar lounge up there, and I'll probably never go back when everybody's smoking, by the way, because I was like coughing for a whole month.
hmm.
But and it was when COVID, like it was when we found out COVID was a thing, but people were still kind of going out.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that.
The ones that were kind of in denial, like me,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, we're gonna go out and get it out of our system until it, you know, like it's fine right now. In my mind, I'm like, I'm just gonna be careful. We're gonna like be careful with handles and stuff, and like I'm not gonna let it stop us. And we went to the 900 Club, and we were supposed to take a car. I remember, because remember we had money at that time. So I was like, hired this guy that had a Mercedes. He was like going to be our chauffeur and take us out. I was going to take my wife out to Boys to Men, which my whole life I never got a chance to see. I grew up on them, and I really just wanted to hear them live. I thought that would be an amazing show.
Yeah.
And I'm like, before they get too old, I don't want to see them at a casino and like, you know, when they're 80 or, you know, like
Yeah.
70 years
Yeah.
old. They're
Yeah.
still in their 50s. They still, you know, they got it.
Yeah.
And I was thrilled about it. I was like, wow, this would be a romantic night where we finally have money. It's like everything's getting good. We're getting ready to go to Salt Lake City, Utah in a couple weeks. Oh man, life was good. It was grand, you know. And then we get there, and I kid you not, I look down at my phone, I get an email saying the show has been canceled due to COVID.
Oh.
So I would probably say Boys to Men, or I want to have Case sing at our wedding.
Mhm.
Have you heard of Case?
I have not know.
Yeah. So even though we're married spiritually, we haven't had our wedding yet because of COVID.
Mhm.
So we were going to have it probably this summer, and then I didn't want to have it during all this. I want to do it the right way and stuff. So it's like kind of one of those things where I just want to do it at the right time, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
And so Case, he has a song called Happily Ever After and Missing You that I just, when I was like 16 and then again at 17, I just like fell in love with R&B, and when I hear it, it's like very euphoric, and I'm just like, man, I want him to sing at our wedding. So I actually messaged him and on Instagram, and he replied back.
What?
It wasn't, yeah, he replied. Actually, I gave him a compliment on something before that, and then he wrote back at like 2 or 3 in the morning. It was like a late night, and he actually wrote back late. He was up that late, and he was like, "Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. Good looking, you know." And I was like, "This is really crazy," because I didn't think that he would reply. To me in high school, when I watched him on TV, it was like out of reach. There's no way in the world this guy with like, you know, sand dunes behind him and like amazing garments. Like I was like, this guy's untouchable, right? He's like, I would never meet this guy in real life. There's no
Yeah.
way. And I'm like chatting with this guy on Instagram now. And
It's social media is just, it's the craziest thing.
Busy Bone on Bone Thugs and Harmony shouted CafeGo out the other day on a live. He was saying something very deep and meaningful, and I made a comment about it. I can't remember what it was. He's like, that's what I'm talking about, cafe. And he thought it was Cafe God Delivery because the way it's spelled, CafeGo with the D.
Yeah, it's all bunched together.
It looks like it. So he was like, that's what I'm talking about, Cafe God Delivery. And he is also the guy where I got, if you look at cafegodelivery.com, you'll see the picture. It's like what is it? I'm trying to remember. It's actually where you order. There's like a little vegan dish. Did you go to it yet or not yet?
I'm not, no.
It's okay. So there's a little vegan dish where it says order here. And I actually got it from him. I actually was like, hey, Busy, I really like that dish. It looks really good. And I'm making my website right now. Do you mind if I use it? He's like, go right ahead. Go right ahead, brother. And I'm like, this is somebody that I grew up listening to. You know, Bone Thugs and Harmony was like, they were huge. You remember when they came out? They were like rock stars, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's just really cool that I'm like kind of like friends. Oh, here's the really weird thing. So 2 days ago, or maybe a few days ago, a guy named Big Steve, he was a bouncer for a lot of these people. He owns a music production company now, and he kind of grew up in that industry, right? He reached out to me and said, hey, I really like what you're doing with your distribution. Is there any way I can help you? I'm down here in California. And he's actually somebody who I've been kind of admiring from a distance. He's a really good father of a couple of girls. He's like you know, getting people to eat healthy, doing a CMOS challenge. And he's just being a healthy guy, inspiring people. And I've kind of been watching him, and all of a sudden he reaches out to me and he's like, hey, Sean, I'm really interested in your products and what you got going on. Maybe I can help you down here. And I looked at who he's friends with. He's got a picture of him and Case. So him and Case they're boys,
Yeah.
you know? So I was like, do you think the Case would actually like sing at my wedding? He's like, oh yeah, he would do that. I'm like, this is crazy. Because this is somebody that I freaking loved in high school, you know? So to answer your question, I would probably say probably like I want to watch Boys to Men live, but I also want to have an R&B singer or group like Case or Jagged Edge or Donnell Jones sing at our wedding. I think that's more what I'm interested in right now, because I don't want to be around big crowds. You know, to be honest, I'd be kind of freaked out a little bit about all the shootings and stuff a year ago, and prior to that, it was like so many mass shootings that I'm like, I don't want to take my wife and or daughter out anywhere. You know, I don't want to go into large crowds. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know fear is it's not good to live by fear, but I mean, I was just being realistic, man.
In this hypothetical world.
Yeah. Hypothetical world.
Yes. Yes. Sean, where can the people find CafeGo on social media? And also, how can they access your services?
I would go to CafeGo delivery on Instagram. Like you said, we pretty much live there. You know, it's you could see everything on there, from live streams to, you know, promotional offers to what we can deliver to people. Just the whole build of the brand. Just, you know, you could see an entrepreneur building day to day, building a brand, and then everything's there. I would just say go to Instagram.
Yeah.
You can go to cafegodelivery.com and you can order food, but like I said, things are kind of transitioning right now, and we're doing a lot of unique things on IG. So I'm probably going to revamp the website, but right now you can find local restaurants that we can deliver at cafegodelivery.com. But follow us on IG. I think you'll be a lot happier.
Yeah.
You'll see a lot more. There's just so much going on there.
Thank you so much for sticking around until the end of the episode. So if you would like more episodes from Keoni Chats, the show can be found on Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and a video version is available on YouTube. But if you would like to keep up with KC Media and Keoni Chats, go ahead and follow us on social media. The handles are KC Media 13 on both Twitter and Instagram. And then on Facebook, it'll be Conluke Media. But if you would like to be a guest, go ahead and email me at kcmedia13@yahoo.com. And I'd love to hear your story, and I'd love to get you scheduled. So until the next episode, everyone, please take care.